You ever have one of those days where you're just like, what the... Hello everybody, welcome back to the Mindful Homestead. Jack here, and wanted to have a little bit of a conversation with you. It's Wednesday night, and I've had a day, everybody. It was one of those days at work where nothing just went right. There was a lot of meetings, and it was just kind of like by the end of it, I was just done, totally cooked. So I'm outside, I'm cooking dinner. We had Thai grilled pork jowl, by the way. People, it's awesome. I'll end up putting the recipe for it on our website, mindfulhomestead.com. Use every bit of your animal. The jowls are one of those pieces of pig not a lot of people do anything with. They just throw it into their sausage. But in all honesty, it's probably one of the most delicious cuts of pork on a pig. So I'm out here, I'm cooking food, and I don't know what I'm gonna do for the video. A lot of people think that YouTubers have videos lined up, and there's a whole bunch of times where I'm shooting a video either Monday night or Wednesday night, like I am tonight, just trying to get something to put out for everybody. And I'm in a mood. Like I said, work was tough today. Emma's been running around like crazy. She's been running us ragged. I'm tired of the whole virus quarantine thing. I just need to get out and do something. While the food was cooking, I came out here to the garden. Hang out in the garden is one of those things that I can do where, you know, if I set about it and I go into it with zero intention, ideas will just kind of come to me. And if I need to come up with an idea for a video, great, that's a place I can be. And I noticed that there's something weird growing out from around the landscape cloth that we put down in our raised beds that I actually talked about up in this video. Not to be too random, but we have this awesome patch of cow vetch growing along our fence next to the garden. It's not a native species, but it is a really good species for pollinators. There's bees all over it right now. And it's not super invasive, which is nice. We'll be able to control it. It can grow along this fence. We have another patch kind of back behind me over there, but we're gonna be able to keep an eye on these things. It's a very pretty plant, it's not toxic, and it grows great up along fences, and it's awesome for the bees, so we're gonna leave it here. This is our pepper bed behind me, and if you look at it quickly, you're not really gonna notice too much going on with it. We've got some bell peppers planted and some jalapenos and things like that. Eventually I come to the bed where we have the peppers planted, and I look a little closer at these plants that are growing out of the side, and I realize that they're tomato plants. We don't really have a rhyme or reason as to how we rotate our crops, but we had all our tomatoes planted here last year, and the sun golds were so productive in terms of making fruit that they were dropping off the plants faster than we could pick them. When we pulled everything out of this garden, there were still tons of sun gold husks around. In fact, I can still, you know, right on the ground right next to me, you can see there's sun gold husk there. And then as I looked around a little bit more, I saw something that really blew my mind. And I realized that there was a tomato plant growing out of the side of the raised bed. Between the two boards that we use, there's a crack. And there were two tomato plants growing sideways, up and out. I can hear the pigs grunting. It's time for their dinner, so let's get their food together and go out and feed them. And here's where I have to put out the disclaimer that I promise I'm not turning into one of those crazy people that's gonna start sitting in their garden and talking to their plants. Not that that's a problem if that's you, but that's not gonna be me. These guys are doing great. Very happy right now with the pigs. I'm not going crazy, but seeing those little tomato plants popping out from the side of the raised bed like that, it made me think a whole lot about how really everyone in the world right now is going through a pretty tough time. You know, I don't care if you're working or not working during this whole thing. I don't care if you've got animals to take up your time, if you're a homesteader. You know, it's really one of those things where we're all spending a lot of time at home. We're not doing a lot of the things that we like to do normally. It's really just created a hard time for a lot of people, myself included. You know, I talk about I had a really tough work day, but it's the sort of thing that's been building up for a while. I mean, really, we're going on month 3 and New Hampshire's starting to open up, but there's still a lot of uncertainty around this whole thing. And, you know, we don't necessarily want to be going out and sitting down to dinner with a bunch of people in a restaurant or taking Emma into places where lots of people have been. It's just kind of been a very strange scenario for a lot of people out there. But seeing those little tomato plants in the garden got me thinking, and it reminded me of a scene in one of my favorite movies of all time. This is a favorite movie that I know I share with Aust over at Homesteady. We've talked about it a little bit here and there.
You're implying that a group composed entirely of female animals will breed?
No, I'm simply saying that life finds a way.
But there were 2 seeds that found their way into the side of a raised bed in New Hampshire, made it through a winter where we saw temps as low as -10 at some point. We didn't have a ton of snow, but there were some pretty cold temps this year. And then come springtime, those seeds found enough water to sprout and start turning into tomato plants. And it just made me think that if 2 of those little seeds can get through this, maybe not necessarily thrive right now, but at least be tomato plants, that's the sort of lesson that a lot of us that are having a tough time right now can pull from and use to kind of say, yeah, you know what? Life does go on, life finds a way, and we're gonna be all right. So I know that this is not necessarily our normal Thursday video. There's a lot of talking here. There's a lot to really kind of unpack. It was really just me ranting at the camera for a little bit. I don't even know how long I've actually filmed for, but I'll edit it down so it's not a super long rambling piece. But I felt that this was just a message that I wanted to pass along to anybody else that was having a tough time out there. You know, as uncertain as things are right now, as tough of a time as you may be having with all the issues that are going on in the world, you know, life will find a way. We'll get through this. Keep your head up. And if anybody ever needs to talk, homesteaders, not homesteaders, we're here. I'll always take some time out of my day to talk to somebody. Utilize that support system if you need it. You know, people are there for you no matter how crazy and turned upside down this world gets. With that said, I just wanted to reach out to everybody that's not necessarily having a hard time right now. And if you're in a good headspace, reach out to those people around you, check in with them. Not everybody that's having a tough time is gonna put out those signals and be so forward with it. So if you have friends and family around you, check in with them, ask them how things are going. It doesn't take much time out of your day, and it could be really important to somebody. As always, Jackie, Emma, and myself are sending positive vibes to you and your family from the Mindful Homestead. Thanks for watching and have a great day, everybody. Bye.